Hello and welcome to the third session of Java programming lectures. And in this lecture, we're going to discuss about the various control statements provided by Java programming. And as I will repeat this statement that all the control structures are all more or less same as the control structures of C and C++. And there are some additional features, okay, that is added to in Java programming. So focus will be on those points. So this is the summary of all the control statement that is supported by Java programming language. So selection statement, we know that it is by if, else, okay, can have nested if, else, and if, else, if, the ladder of if, else, if, then switch and nested switches, okay, means a switch statement can be nested within each other. So nested switch is also possible. So, and coming to loop, the basic while loop, do while loop, for loop, break, continue, and return. Okay, let me tell you, because one thing important is that the return statement is considered as one of the branching, or what is the jump statement, okay, a legal jump statement in Java programming language. So we know about return, but we'll discuss this as how return can be used as a jump statement. So to begin with the control statement, selection statements. So the basic form of if is the condition. If the condition is true, the statement there is one statement under the if statement. So the statement 1 is going to be executed only if the condition is true. The condition which is provided here. This can be a single variable. This can be an expression. This can be an arithmetic or any logical expression possible. So, but ultimately, based on the truth value, this line is going to be executed. Okay, when you have some statement to be executed for the false part of this condition, when the condition is false, so we have else part. So we can write the if condition, then statement 1, else statement 2. So if the condition is true, statement 1 is going to be executed. If condition is false, then statement 2 is going to be executed, and after that the control will go to the next statement following the if else block. Okay. Now sometimes we might have multiple statements to be executed under a true condition or a false condition. Alright. So in that case, we can include the multiple statements or one or two or more statements that is to be executed under the true condition, okay, within the curly braces. So curly braces indicate, again, we know that a block, okay, it creates a new block. It also creates a new scope. Whenever we write it, it creates a new scope. So if you declare a variable within that becomes local to this particular if block or else block, whatever you define with that. Okay. So in a variation, we can have multiple statements under if block and a single statement under else block, or we can have a single statement under if block, or we can have multiple statements under else block, okay, or we can have two or more statements in both the block, in if block and else block. So it's up to you what kind of statements or how many statements you want to execute for the true condition, okay, or to the false condition. So we can design our if else like that. A simple example to discuss, okay. Here we are having month equal to 4. Alright, so just a constant, okay, constant assignment, because you know that we're not taking anything from the user. Okay, so we have a string variable name is season. Okay, now if month equal to 12 or 1 or 2, so we are assigning season equal to winter. So depend upon the month number what has been assigned, okay, the season will be is decided. Okay, so then we have a elif. Okay, so this is only one statement here, that is the assignment of the corresponding season to the season variable. Alright, so whether winter or spring or summer, autumn, okay, depend on the condition. So if the month number is 3, 4, 5, then it is considered spring. Okay, so we know that if 6, 7, 8, it is considered 7. Okay, so it's a rough time. Do not go about the logic about whether the season assignment is correct or not. Just a simple division has been done to demonstrate if else statement. Okay, so ultimately if the month number is something other than 12, we have a condition else part is handling the that error, okay, the runtime error. Okay, if you are giving any invalid, it's a validation checking, right? So if you give any invalid month, so else part is going to take, and that is going to write season equal to go as month. Alright, and ultimately we are printing using system.out.println April Okay, because a month is 4, we have taken April, so April is in the this season or is in the winter or spring, whatever depend upon it. So because the month is 4, this is going to be, so this condition is going to be true. Okay, and remember that we are using logical or is that should circuit switch or here or we can say logical. Here it will not execute the second or third case unless until this is required. Okay, only if the first is false, okay, if we need to process the second one, then only it is going to execute second one. If the second is false, then only it is going to execute the third one. Okay, that is the the logic behind using circuit switched and logical and or. All right. So only if the first condition is false, it is going to go second, then third, and so on, depend upon how many conditions are odd with each other. All right. So a simple example to demonstrate if else if. Okay, if else if ladder. Okay, we generally call it if else if ladder. Then the syntax of switch. Okay, we already know this syntax, very basic, simple statement. Okay, so we give an expression here. Okay, the ultimately the expression will result in a value. Okay, mostly the value is to be character or a number. Okay, a whole number. All right, so we can give a value one. So based on the value, the statement to be executed. Okay, so this is the syntax, and we give a break to break out of a particular case. Okay, if you don't include the break, you know that it will whichever the condition is true, all the conditions below that condition, the true condition, will be executed without any break. So we have to if you want to execute only the block, the particular case block. Okay, depending upon the true value of the value. Okay, the expression, we have to put a break under break at the end of each case. Okay, that is required. Okay, just a revision for discussion. Okay, so here is an example. So you are using a for loop, and depend upon the value you are printing. Okay, whether it's I is 0, I is 1, I is 3, and finally for any value of I, when I goes beyond 3, you are printing I is greater than 3. Okay, so I think this runs till 5. So for 4 and 5, it is going to print twice the system out. I is greater than 3. Otherwise, it is going to print 0, 1, 2, 3, then greater than 3 twice. Okay, so that's how it is going to print. All right. So a demonstration of simple switch case. Okay, and switch case can be nested among each other. Okay, means within the case you can, suppose you want to have a choice. Again, one based on another choice. Suppose one choice is the uppermost switch case. Then we can nested switch again another decision, because suppose we are going to make some decision based on the value of, let's say, 3 or 4 variables. Let's say 3 or 4 variables, variable 1, variable 2, variable 3. Okay, and that's how they will be done. Okay, so there is a complete tree. So it has to be complete tree for every case. Almost every case we have there is a based on the value of the 4 variables, we will do some task. Okay, or at least value of the 3 variables we have task. So in that case, switch case can be nested. So again, a switch will be there under each case. Okay, and that may have different options. Again, within that option, if you need a third variable, we can again, that switch can be nested. Also, in this way, the switch can be nested among each other. Okay, you depend upon how you are going to, what is your requirement, how you are going to execute, how you ultimately assign the things based on the condition things we have defined. Okay. Then coming to the loop. So we have a simple basic while loop we have. Okay, while as long as this condition is true, the body of the loop will be executed. Okay, mostly we put the while loop within curly braces. So all the statement that is to be executed when the condition is true, so will be kept inside. And now when you are using while loop, you know that we have to initialize the condition variable. Generally, a statement is used as a initial statement before while loop begins. Okay, then there will be definitely an incremental or decremental statement which actually operate over conditional variable. Otherwise, we will be falling in an infinite loop. All right. So and do while, we know that where the difference between while and do while is that do while makes sure that the body of the loop executed at least once. Okay, that is the ultimate idea. And syntax, you can see both the syntax while and do while, both are similar to the syntax of C and C++ programming language. And coming to the for loop, we know that this has for loop has 3 parts. Okay, in its syntax, that is initialization, condition, and iteration. Okay, initialization can be kept in the first part. Okay, then the condition is the third part, and iteration, or the increment or decrementation of the condition, the conditional variable. Okay, the decision variable which decide the how many times the loop to be executed to be operated in the iteration part. Okay, and you know that there can be multiple statements can be put in any could be in the initial part and iteration part by separated by comma. We can do that. Okay, so multiple statement can be included in these two parts. All right, and the body will keep executing as long as this condition is true. Okay, by every time the loop is when the control jumps to come to the end of the loop, so it goes to the iteration, then check the condition and repeat until the condition is true. Okay, there is another version, as you can see that, let's call for each version. Now if you the latest programming language like Python, they have already built Python, and we learned the programming like there is a for in loop. Okay, and in JavaScript I think you might have seen for in loop. Okay, so the latest programming language, they have this structure. So in Java it is in the form of if for each. The each word is not used here, but for each is represented by a colon. There will be a colon in the conditional part of the for. Okay, so the syntax is for the type of the iterator. So this variable is known as an iterator variable. Okay, you mentioned the type of the iterator variable. Okay, let me tell you, there is a special class of iterator. Okay, which will iterate over different classes, different built-in storage classes. Okay, so that we'll discuss while we discuss the util library of the Java. Okay, so iterator. Okay, this is a special role of iterator, because they makes the task really easy for computation and accessing each object, each element of a storage structure. All right, but this is the simpler version. Okay, we will see that we will also use a for loop, for each loop, for those kind of structure, the storage classes. Okay, so type here, you mention the type here and the variable name here, then over which collection this is going to be iterated. Okay, a collection. So generally a data structure we give here, generally we give an array, because we want to iterate over a number, a collection of number, a collection of elements. Okay, so a iterator will iterate over the elements of a particular data structure. Okay, so generally we see that we'll put an array over here. Okay, then based on, so what happened in each loop, this iterator variable take a value of the collection in sequentially. Okay, this collection will contain the elements in an order, so it is going to take each value in the order. All right, for in each iteration. And you know that because when we need an element of an array inside the loop, we need to use the index operation. So this will avoid the index operation. So it can carry the value of, that you need in each loop. Okay, suppose you are running a I loop, I equal to 0 to n, and you are doing a of I. That means you are accessing the ith element in each iteration of each iteration I. Okay, so that task can be reduced. So we don't have to access to index operation. This iterator variable hold the element of the ith iteration. All right, let's see an example of that. So a simple example again for demonstrating for each. All right, so I have an array, an integer array here, so which is storing the number from 1 to 10. Okay, the objective is to compute the sum of all the elements. Okay, so let us see how for each can do this task. Okay, in a simple syntax. Okay, so for the type of the data type of the iterator is int. So int x. Int is the data type of the iterator, and the iterator variable is x. Colon, you mention the colon, then the number. Okay, the num. So not number, the collection. The collection is my array here, the nums collection. Okay, so what happens in each iteration, x is going to hold the value of this array one by one, sequentially, the order in which. So that means in the first iteration, x is equal to 1. Second iteration, x is equal to 2. Third iteration, x is equal to 3. And so on till the x hold the value 10. Once x holds the value 10, okay, it will stop in the next iteration. The for loop will terminate in the next. Once x has hold or has taken all the value in the collection that is mentioned. Okay, so you can see that we can the x is holding the value that we want to array. So no complex, don't look complex, because you are not using at all the index operation whenever you require. Okay, so they can be used like this. So it's a you can see that very simple syntax when you need to access the elements. But if you don't need access of any element value, so it is not required. You are working on a counter, or you are working on some index variable, then obviously x is not helpful. Okay, sorry, the iterator for each iterator is not helpful. All right. Then comes to break statement. We know the use of break statement. There are the basic three uses. First is terminate the statement sequence in a switch statement. Okay, we already used in as a part of switch statement. Then also used to terminate the innermost loop. Okay, so exit a loop. Also, this can be used as a civilized form of goto in Java. This is the additional feature that is supported. All right, let's see that how to do. So this is the break in the form of break with a label. Remember this form is known as the break with a label. So it look like a goto symbol, but no, generally we know that goto is not only not good programming practice because it's an unconditional jump. But break is always associated with some with some condition. That's why it is it's been told that break level is a legal form of goto. All right, so you can use them like a goto. So by using this form, whatever we can break out of one or more blocks. Okay, because we have a not only break will you break out from the innermost loop. Okay, innermost block. All right, means generally when you have loop, then only we can use the block. Okay, based on the condition, right? Otherwise, it will be a big problem in the logic. So these blocks need to be part of the loop. Need not to be part of the loop. Also, we have blocks. Then we can use this particular form of goto. All right, and we can specify that the level specify where the execution is going to remove, just like go to level. So break has a level here, so we can mention wherever we may maybe put this inside a number of blocks, and we mention the location that okay, break level, the location level where to go. So it will simply break out of one or more number of blocks, not necessarily one block, but depend upon where you put it. Wherever you put it, it is going to jump from that location to the level that we have mentioned. Okay, let's see an example to clarify this concept. Okay, so you can see that the main boolean t is true, the t value is assigned as true. The first, you can see the first level. Okay, this is the first level first, and the block begins, a new block begins. Then nested block second, the second block begins, third block begins. Okay, third level, and the third block begins. Okay, here we are printing before the break. Now if tree, definitely t is when assigned is the constant true, so it is always true. So break second. So what is going to happen? So here it is going to jump out of this third. Okay, also goes out of the second. Definitely yes or no. So second level is out of these two nested blocks, one or two blocks. Okay, so this is going to terminate the execution at this point and jump the control from here to the level second. So wherever it is. So if you mention first here, it will ultimately jump to first level. Okay, so two or more, okay, not necessarily one block, two or more block can be skipped. Okay, by mentioning the break level. Okay, honestly, my point of view, it's not a good programming practice because again, it is introducing a if you're not using this without if condition, then again it will become an unstructured programming language. We are going back, okay, which is not really a good programming practice. So always, if you want to use this, use with a condition. You can use it with a condition to break to a particular position instead of breaking always out of the scope, out of a particular inner loop. You can mention where you want to jump. Okay, so what happens whenever it breaks, all the statement which is following will not be executed. Alright, that's the point. So I think when you break here, the control will come at the second. Okay, and but this because there is a fault here, it won't continue. Okay, it won't go on. Fine. So this is about how to use break with a level. Then continue. The definition of what remains the same as our previous programming language like C++. Let us just a repetition that yes, it is used to transfer the control directly to the conditional expression. Okay, so the control will first in a for loop we know that the control will not go to the condition directly. Okay, it will first go to the iteration portion, then it will go to the conditional. Okay, means it skipped the current step. That we know that definition says that it doesn't matter whether it's a while loop or do while loop or for loop. whenever there is a continue, it bypass or it skip the current iteration or current we can say the current state of the loop. Then come to return. Now in Java, return is also considered as one of the jumping statement. Why it is jumping statement? Because return statement used to return from a method. It's like a jump. You are jumping from the method. Okay. Now remember that here that you are considering a condition where return is simply return is used. Okay. You are not associating any value or something. So simply when you are returning, that is considered as a jump. You are no value is associated. So you are simply jumping the control from the called method to the calling method. All right. That's why using this, because of this behavior, it is considered as a jump statement. So at any time in the method, return statement can be used to cause an execution branch back to the caller method. So it will branch, it will go back. It's like you can consider this as a branch. Okay, instead of a return. So we say return statement. Now we now consider return statement as a branch. Okay, branch back. So it can be used as a jump. So return statement immediately terminate the method and which is executing. So it is going back to the calling method. That's why, because of this behavior, return is considered as one of the jump statement. Okay, and it is also used as a jump statement for jumping from the call method to the calling method. Okay, so with this, I end this discussion. It's a very brief discussion, and for hands-on, you need to be. I suggest you to have some practice on each concept that is discussed under this session. That's all. Thank you, everyone.